The jungle hissed with life beneath the thick canopy, a tapestry of heat, scent, and silence. Insects clicked invisibly in the underbrush. Sunlight filtered down in pale shards, barely piercing the dense green. For a planet deemed primitive, it felt like the jungle itself breathed, watched. But the Zarathi command unit didn't notice. Their boots crunched wet moss, their armor clanked with confidence. Earth was another backwater resistance to crush. Another patch of wild to claim. Commander Yerikson moved like he owned it. His ornate pauldrons gleamed, gold against jungle grime. He lifted a leafy branch, sneering at the mud-coated bark. "Camouflage," he muttered, voice thick with contempt. "They still smear themselves in dirt like cave beasts." A chorus of laughter followed. The rest of his squad, 14 elite recon commandos, trailed behind him in formation, heat-scanning visors blinking through the canopy. "Thermals clear," said Lieutenant Drek, sweeping the tree-line. "No signs of movement within 3 clicks." "Of course not," Yerikson replied, stepping over a root. "The humans wouldn't dare face us head-on. They'll scatter like rodents." The mission brief had been laughable, an Earth-based resistance cell, hiding in a jungle in the region once called South America. No plasma. No orbital cannons. Just old rifles, jungle warfare, and, according to intercepted transmissions, a team of snipers. The idea made Yerikson grin. Their dropship hovered overhead, heat thrumming against the jungle's damp breath, before ascending skyward in a roar of displaced air. It left behind nothing but footprints and the faint smell of ozone. Commander Yerikson glanced up once and then back down at his command pad. "We sweep southward. Take terrain scans. Log any resistance. If they show themselves, stun one for interrogation. Kill the rest." He turned his head and tapped the side of his visor. "Let's show these snipers what real hunters look like." 300 meters to the east, buried in the roots of a strangler fig, a human heart beat slow and deliberate. Her cheek pressed into the forest floor, her breath feathering the moss. Face streaked with soot, hair matted beneath a camo hood, Sergeant Lena Rios didn't move a muscle. The alien squad passed within 50 meters of her position, laughing. She marked them silently. "Commander. Center formation, visor-boosted optics. Lieutenants, rear and flank. Armor lightly shielded. Weapons, rail carbines, wrist flares, motion-suppressing field units. All high-tech. All glowing just enough in infrared to paint a perfect target." She let them go. "Echo 1, I count 15. They're spreading west. Thermal camos working." They walked right past me. A low crackle came through her earpiece. "Copy that," said Captain Monroe. "Hold fire. Let them feel safe." Rios grinned faintly. "Roger." In another patch of undergrowth, 2 kilometers northwest, Private Quinn nestled in a nest of thorny vines. Her rifle, matte black and wrapped in burlap strips, lay motionless on a bipod. Her finger hovered near the trigger, but her eyes watched a spider crawl across her glove. She didn't flinch. Above her, a humming drone zipped through the air. Quinn waited. The drone passed. "Still think we're cave beasts?" she whispered to the spider. Elsewhere, Staff Sergeant Valera lay prone atop a canopy platform, crosshatched in netting and leaf matter. A mirror sliver angled behind her, reflecting sunlight just enough to blind any sensors. She'd built the platform in under 30 minutes. Earth's jungle was generous if you knew how to ask. She whispered into comms. "I've got the left flank, Cap. Give the word." Captain Monroe crouched in a shallow creek bed, eyes scanning the portable map on her wrist pad. Her team was spread across a 3-kilometer perimeter, invisible, patient, silent. She didn't need satellites or drones. She had mud, shadows, and women trained to become ghosts. "Wait for confirmation of secondary patrols," she said calmly. "No premature engagements." The team acknowledged with faint double-clicks. No chatter. No waste. The jungle returned to silence. By midday, the Zarathi team had made camp in a clearing with high ridges on 3 sides and a small stream running below. Prime position for amateurs. Yerikson stood in the center, helmet off, tusked jaw clenched with boredom. "No resistance," he growled. "So much for human snipers." Lieutenant Drek laughed, polishing his weapon. "Probably all dead from the humidity." A third soldier joked, or tangled in vines, thinking they were camouflage. Lena Rios heard all of it. She was watching from 80 meters away, hidden in a hollow tree stump, her rifle angled through a narrow split in the bark. She smiled, just once. At sunset, Monroe gave the order. "Green light. Show them Earth's camouflage." Rios fired first. A single suppressed shot. One of the alien lieutenants, mid-sentence, dropped as if his strings had been cut. His companions stared at the body in disbelief. No alarm sounded. No gunfire answered. Valera's bullet came next. The alien adjusting their portable scanner crumpled backward into the stream, blood mingling with the water. Quinn's shot was third, clean, silent, through the eye of the soldier adjusting his helmet. Panic erupted. Erickson barked orders, shouting for cover and return fire. His men scattered, sensors sweeping wildly. The forest remained still. They fired into the trees, at shadows, at imagined threats. Nothing returned. "They're using a jammer," one screamed. "No, they're ghosts," another cried. But it wasn't ghosts. It was 6 women. 6 snipers. 6 silent killers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Not against aliens, but against the arrogance of those who thought tech beat instinct. Captain Monroe remained crouched in the stream bed, listening to the chaos, her face impassive. "They're broken," she said. "Pull back. Let them stew." One by one, the team withdrew. Not a sound. Not a trace. Night fell hard in the jungle. The canopy swallowed moonlight. The alien camp had become a tomb, silent, paranoid, tense. Erickson stood beside 3 body bags, visor lowered, eyes bloodshot. "This was supposed to be recon," he muttered. "Scouting a planet of primitives." Lieutenant Drek trembled near the edge of the camp, flinching at every noise. "They're using ancient tactics, trap warfare. Ambushes. Like the early colonies on Drasith 4. Erickson snarled. "These are humans. You hear me? Humans. They haven't evolved beyond combustion weapons." He didn't finish the sentence. A bullet split the tree beside his head. He dropped instinctively, rolling into a crouch. Another soldier fell behind him, chest cratered. Then another, struck mid-sprint. Every direction, every tree, every sound was a threat. Monroe's voice came through the alien comm system, hacked and clear as crystal, her tone calm. "Your mistake wasn't landing here," she said. "It was laughing," Erickson screamed. "Come out and face us." But no one came. The jungle closed in again. Back at the forward hideout, the women gathered under dark netting. Rios leaned against a mossy stone, stripping and cleaning her rifle with practiced hands. Quinn offered a water pouch. Valera lit a small heatless lamp, illuminating their tired but focused faces. 3 down. 2 injured, maybe more, Rios said. "They're rattled." "They're scared," Monroe corrected. "Which means they're dangerous. Next phase is tighter. Closer. No margin." Quinn nodded. "Think they'll call for reinforcements?" "They'd have to admit Earth kicked their ass," Valera said, grinning. "They'll wait. Try to salvage pride." Monroe looked at her team. 6 women. Outnumbered, outgunned, but not outclassed. "We stay shadows. No more than 1 kill every hour. Psychological warfare." Rios raised a brow. "Make the jungle their grave." "They already dug it," Monroe said. "We're just tucking them in." Miles away, Erickson sat alone, visor cracked, scanning the jungle through bloodshot eyes. The trees shifted. The wind whistled. He gripped his rifle tighter. Somewhere, a twig snapped. He spun. Nothing. But she was there. Watching. Breathing with the leaves. one finger on the trigger. Just a whisper away. And she wasn't alone. Steam drifted above the jungle floor as the morning heat returned with cruel intensity. Dew clung to leaves like sweat on anxious skin. The undergrowth buzzed with life, too alive for the alien soldiers who now moved like prey, not predators. Yerixen crouched behind a fallen log, visor cracked and flickering, scanning every inch of the treeline. His once glorious armor was smeared with soil and blood, the gold dulled to a copper rot. Around him, only 7 soldiers remained, half their number lost in less than 12 hours. They hadn't seen a single enemy face. "Commander," Drek whispered, eyes darting in every direction, "our men are unraveling." Morales took his own helmet off just to listen. He swore he heard whispering. He's not wrong. Something's out there. Yerixen tightened his jaw, nostrils flaring. What's out there are human women playing dress-up in the mud. He stood, gesturing to 2 nearby troops. "Sweep northwest. Triple formation. I want a live capture." Neither soldier responded right away. When they finally moved, it was with the hesitancy of men walking into a storm. Yerixen knew. He could feel it too. The jungle was watching them now. Every leaf held its breath. Every tree leaned closer. And somewhere in that green silence, a rifle waited. Across the ridge, Rios lay nestled in a natural depression, rifle balanced across a rock slick with lichen. Her eyes were steady, measuring distance and wind with calm instinct. She didn't blink much. She'd stopped needing to. Her breathing was steady, chest rising no more than a whisper with each draw. She watched the alien formation move in deliberate triangles, as if geometry could save them from the forest. "They're shifting to recon pairs," she murmured into her mic. "Yerixen's trying to bait us with predictable sweeps." From a vine-draped overlook, Valera adjusted her sight. "Let him bait. That just means he's scared. Nobody goes fishing unless they're starving." Quinn chuckled softly from her tree blind. "And we've got the hooks." Monroe's voice cut in, low and measured. "Focus. Pair tactics don't mean they're sloppy. It means they're desperate. Desperate enemies make bad decisions, but only if we give them choices." Lena moved her reticle to one of the flanking soldiers, a twitchy one, lagging half a pace behind the others. She steadied her hand. He glanced left, then back, then left again. Her finger curled around the trigger. Then he stepped into a shaded patch where her shot wouldn't pass clean. She held. "Discipline," she whispered to herself. "Make it count." She let them move on. Meanwhile, deeper in the jungle, Monroe studied the enemy's altered routes from a makeshift command station hidden beneath a thick lattice of vines and camo netting. The holographic map flickered softly in front of her, showing red blips blinking through the terrain. "They've started avoiding stream beds and open areas," she noted. "They're learning." Valera replied, "Let 'em learn. Makes 'em predictable. You think they're trying to set up a fallback point?" "They will soon," Monroe said. "Question is where. They'll want high ground, clear lines of fire. But Earth's jungle doesn't play fair." "Neither do we," Rios added. That night, it rained. Thick, heavy drops pounded the canopy, drowning out movement, masking every sound in a blanket of rhythm. For a moment, the jungle felt almost neutral again, like it belonged to no one. Rios moved through the wet underbrush like a whisper. Her camo suit was soaked, her rifle cradled under a poncho of stitched leaf netting. She slid behind a boulder, raised her optics, and scanned. 2 of the alien soldiers were camped beneath a crumbling cliffside, relying on high-ground instincts that served them well in urban wars, but this wasn't their city. It was her world now. She tapped her mic once. Valera, already in position across from her, acknowledged with 2 soft clicks. Monroe's voice came through, "Capture if possible. Just one." Valera aimed low, at the knee. Rios aimed high, at the rifle. Their shots cracked in perfect synchronicity. One alien went down screaming, his weapon spinning into the mud. The other lunged to return fire, but Rios shot the weapon from his hand before he could lift it. Both went down, alive. Quinn and Reyes moved in fast from opposite sides, their approach hidden by the storm's rage. They bound the surviving one with vine cord and slapped a neural muffler on the base of his neck. The muffler pulsed blue, short-circuiting motor reflexes without full paralysis. He blinked up at them, furious and terrified. "You want answers?" Reyes muttered. "Talk to the captain." They dragged him off. At the hidden base, Monroe stood before the restrained alien. Her face was unreadable. The others waited just beyond the tarp curtain, weapons ready but not aimed. They watched through veils of dripping camo net, tense but quiet. The captive spat something in a language she didn't recognize. Monroe crouched beside him, placing a translator node against his temple. It flickered green. He growled, "You're nothing. Mud dwellers. Savages." "You're not wrong," she said calmly. "But your squad's down to 5. His face twitched. "I want locations," Monroe said. "Fallback coordinates, supply caches. And you'll give them to me. I'll die first." "You might. But you'll suffer first." She stood and left the tent. Outside, the team waited for her signal. "He'll crack," Monroe said. "He's already halfway there." Their whole system's built on dominance. They weren't ready to be hunted. "Want me to lean on him?" Reyes asked. "No. Let him stew in fear. He'll talk when the jungle gets into his head." Monroe's eyes swept over her team. Rainwater trickled down her cheek, but she didn't flinch. "We go tighter," she said. "They're moving northeast. We set traps. Heard them. Finish this." The next day, the jungle bloomed with death. Valera set tripwire snares that led to silent pit traps disguised with moss and debris. Quinn strung up noise baffles, devices cobbled together from salvaged tech and native materials that mimicked the whisper of footsteps or the snap of a branch. Psychological warfare. Yerrickson fell for one before dawn. A branch snapped behind him, deliberate, placed by hand. He spun and fired. Nothing. By the time he turned back, his lead scout was gone. A splash of blood marked the trunk where he'd stood. Just a smear. No body. No sound. Yerrickson screamed and fired wildly into the jungle. From 100 meters away, Monroe watched through a scope. "He's unraveling," she said. "They're down to 4. "Let's make it 3, Rios whispered, and fired. Another one gone. Yerrickson fell to his knees, visor useless now, torn from his face in rage hours earlier. He pressed his forehead to the mud and bellowed at the sky. "You cowards! Fight us like warriors." Rios watched him from the undergrowth, breathing slow, heart steady. She could end it. One shot. But Monroe's voice came through soft and firm. "Let him scream. Let the jungle answer." That night, the alien they captured finally spoke. He was curled in the corner of the base, breathing in quick, shallow bursts. His eyes darted like a trapped animal's. "They won't come for us," he whispered. "They don't extract failed units." Monroe knelt beside him. "Tell me where Yerrickson's heading." He didn't answer right away. Then, "North Ridge. Old ruins. They'll hole up there." "Why?" "Higher ground. Less jungle. Easier to see you coming." Monroe stood and nodded to Rios. "Get your gear." We cut them off. The women moved like a single organism, coordinated, silent, ruthless. They were no longer scouts. No longer defenders. They were hunters. And the aliens were meat. By dawn, Yerrickson reached the ruins. They weren't ruins so much as stone bones, ancient architecture buried in vines and memory. He staggered into the archway, his 3 remaining soldiers huddled behind him. They set up perimeter motion detectors and readied last reserves of energy cells. Yerrickson leaned against a stone column and stared at the sky, half hoping to see a dropship, even knowing none would come. A twig cracked. He froze. Silence. Another crack. Then nothing. He fired a warning shot into the foliage. The energy beam carved through empty air. He began to shake. "She's here," one soldier whispered. "The one who speaks through the trees." Eriksson gritted his teeth. "No more waiting. We push. We flush them." He didn't see the wire until it was too late. A concussion charge exploded at the ruin's edge, not lethal, but blinding. As his men fell backward, coughing and disoriented, the jungle erupted with shadows. Rios came through first, rifle up, cold-eyed. Then Quinn, then Valera, Reyes, Silva, and Monroe, walking calmly through the smoke. Eriksson tried to lift his weapon. Rios shot it from his hands. Monroe stopped in front of him, their eyes locked. "You were warned." He said nothing. Monroe leaned in. "This is Earth. Our rules. Our dirt. Our jungle." She turned to Rios. "Secure him. We're not done yet." Behind her, the jungle watched. And for the first time, it smiled. The jungle didn't sleep. It twitched, breathed, and pulsed with a life of its own, an orchestra of shifting foliage and unseen beasts beneath a camouflage sky. The Galari patrols grew increasingly erratic, nerves fraying at the seams. What had started as arrogant conquest was morphing into something else, something colder, more primal. The silence wasn't peace. It was pressure, building with each second the snipers remained unseen. Sergeant Kor moved with mechanical precision through the undergrowth, his armor humming softly with thermal dampeners. His once imperious stride had shortened into cautious, clipped steps. His eyes scanned left, then right, then above. The death had come from nowhere. 3 squads in the last day vanished. Not a scream. Not a warning. Just 3 clicks of static, then silence. The only common detail, human rounds. Clean shots. Perfect angles. "They are ghosts," muttered his comms operator, Vrek, as they ducked beneath the twisted roots of a banyan-like monstrosity. "No. Ghosts leave traces," Kor growled. This is vengeance." Vrek swallowed hard, adjusting his optic lens. "But vengeance from what? These females are just—" The sound was so soft it was almost missed, the sharp thunk of something slicing through bark. A single crimson line appeared across Vrek's visor before he crumpled silently. Kor spun, rifle raised, but the shot had come from nowhere. No glint. No muzzle flash. Just the whisper of judgment. He dropped low, breathing raggedly. "Eyes up!" he barked through the squad's shared channel. "They're watching us!" Above them, concealed within the hanging canopy of vines and moss, 2 lenses narrowed. Staff Sergeant Eliza Cade exhaled slowly and eased back into her nest of shadows, branches interwoven with crafted ghillie netting and smeared local foliage. Beside her, Ari Lopez adjusted the dials on her modified scope, marking a second Galari helmet bobbing into view. "They're grouping tighter now," Ari whispered. "They're scared," Eliza replied. "Scared troops make mistakes." From the southeast, a soft triple click sounded in Eliza's earpiece. Valerie's team had eyes on another squad. They were coming in fast and wide, sweep pattern, trying to flush them out. It wouldn't work. Not here. "They're adapting," Ari said, her voice low, calculating. Eliza let her cheeks settle back into the warm stock of her rifle. "So do we." The next shot came half a breath later. One clean squeeze. Another helmet jerked back violently before the body collapsed forward. And with that single strike, the jungle once again roared to life. Shouts. Pulse fire. Branches blasted into splinters. But the ghosts were already gone. By the time Kor's team regrouped, only 4 remained. The rest had fallen to the underbrush. Some dragged under. Others simply vanished. Each lost soul marked another fracture in Galari confidence. Commander Yirith stood in the center of the command tent, claws tapping anxiously against his gauntlet. Maps projected across a 3-dimensional grid, red dots flickering out one by one. "We lost contact with Kor's patrol," a technician announced, voice stiff. Yirith snarled. "Define lost." "Telemetry dead. Biosignals flatlined. No distress signal. Just gone." Another silence. Another pulse in his temple. He slammed his fist onto the console. They are women. Primitive, ground-born mammals. You outnumber them 100 to 1, and still they carve through you like blade through bark. General Saria, the one high-ranking female among the fleet, stepped forward. Permission to speak freely, Commander? His nostrils flared. Granted. Saria's tone was calm. Deadly. You've mistaken fearlessness for foolishness. They are not reacting like soldiers. They are hunting us. Yirith scoffed. Then we burn the jungle. And drive them deeper into it, she said. This is not a forest, it's a weapon. One they wield better than any terrain engineer we've ever trained. Her eyes locked with his. You said women couldn't aim, couldn't fight, that their role was birth and silence. But you made the fatal mistake of invading their home. And now you're seeing what fury looks like with precision attached to it. Yirith sneered. Then we tighten the noose. Crush them. Make them fear us. Then you better bring more body bags. Night fell again, and with it came the fog. Thick. Choking. It rolled through the jungle like a tide, hiding movement, scattering sound. The perfect ally. Valerie's team crept along the high ridgeline, each woman spaced meters apart, eyes sweeping in tandem. Her lead scout, Mira, raised a fist and crouched low. Movement below. Through the thermal overlay, they spotted a Galari transport team, logistics unit hauling scanning towers and sonic pulse gear. Tools to clear dense thickets. Eyes widened. They're prepping a strip clear, Mira said. Trying to take down the canopy. Valerie's gaze hardened. Not happening. She signaled silently. 1 tap to the shoulder. 2 to the thigh. The formation adjusted. Snipers repositioned, crawling like ghosts across mossy branches. They didn't need range. They needed silence. And timing. The first shot came from June. A non-lethal. Tranquilizer dart straight into the back of the Galari engineer's knee joint. He collapsed quietly, twitching. No alert raised. Next came Mira, blade out, dropping into the rear from a low-hanging tree. 2 Galari fell, throats slit, before they could scream. Valerie dropped from the ridge, rolled once, and brought her suppressed rifle up in one smooth arc. 3 rounds. 3 kills. By the time the last Galari turned to fire, they were the only one left standing, and Valerie's eyes were already locked on his. He didn't even feel the bullet. Just darkness. Across the region, similar scenes played out. The snipers had shifted tactics. No longer content to fire and fade, they were engaging in psychological disassembly. Isolating targets. Removing supply lines. Ambushing logistics before the battles even began. They moved like myths. Each squad was a living, breathing rumor. Don't light a flare, some troopers whispered. They'll see it before you strike the match. Don't call out, others muttered. If you speak, they'll know where your mouth is. The Empire, so confident in its steel and ships, now whispered of ghosts. On a shattered hillside crater, Captain Nira of the Galari fleet stood hunched over the remains of a sniper nest, a rudimentary one, purposefully left behind. Burned powder. Torn netting. A trail of blood. See here, she muttered, pointing to the stain. This is fresh. They wanted us to find this. Wanted us to think we wounded one. Her adjutant blinked. But that's good, isn't it? Means they're mortal. Nira shook her head. It means they're baiting us. Playing a longer game. Every time we react, we fall into another layer of their plan. She lifted the broken scope from the nest and studied it. This is Earth tech. Old gen. Not even military grade. And they still outshoot us. The adjutant looked at the jungle, unease deepening. What do we do? Nira didn't answer immediately. Her eyes narrowed. We adapt. In a shallow ravine, Eliza and her team lay motionless. Days had passed since the last direct strike. The Galari had changed something. Fewer patrols. No more wandering officers. Just drones, silent, hovering spheres that didn't trip sensors or give off heat. They'd started deploying sonic pulses, shaking birds from the trees and predators from their nests. "Feels different," Ari murmured. "Like they're closing in." "They are," Eliza agreed. "But they're not chasing anymore." Valerie's voice came over comms. "Confirmed increased drone activity. They've dropped heat decoys too. And there's something else. They've started using our tricks. Saw one nest made of stripped branches and sap glue." Mira clicked in. "Imitation means respect. Or desperation," Eliza replied. "But either way, it means the storm's coming." A low rumble rippled beneath them. Distant engines. Not fast flyers. Ground crawlers. Tanks. Valerie again. New intel. They're deploying armor. Something big. Jungle cutters. Reinforced. EMP-proofed. Looks like a final push. A moment of silence followed. Each woman felt it, that unspoken understanding. This wasn't about another strike or ambush. This was the pivot point. "They think they've cornered us," Eliza said. "Time to remind them, we built the corners." She rose from the mud, sliding the bolt on her rifle with a click that felt like a war drum. All around her, the jungle stirred, not with fear, but fury. The snipers were done waiting. They had let the Empire come to them. Now, it was time to strike back. The jungle trembled before the machines. Earth cracked beneath armored treads as the Galari siege crawlers pushed forward, massive and grotesque, steel beasts belching heat and destruction. Each one pulsed with red lighting across its flank, sonar dishes spinning as they scanned every breath of vegetation. Behind them marched lines of troopers in exosuits, their helmets gleaming with cold precision, rifles ready. The invasion's final act had begun. In the high canopy above, Eliza Cade watched through narrowed eyes. She lay prone, cradled in a web of vines reinforced with synthetic netting and natural cover. Beside her, Ari adjusted the angle on her long-range scope, calculating wind, trajectory, and timing against a horizon now burning with ash. "They're clearing too fast," Ari murmured. "Because they're not searching anymore," Eliza replied. "They're coming to kill." Below them, jungle cutters swung on armatures, vaporizing tree trunks with each swipe. No caution. No hesitation. Just the blind confidence of overwhelming force. The Empire was betting on brute weight now. Betting that human tactics couldn't outlast Imperial steel. They were wrong. Valerie's voice came through their channel. "Confirm 4 crawlers, 2 artillery platforms. Power signatures rising. Main guns are spooling." Mira clicked in. 3 scout teams already pushed out ahead. They're ignoring flanks. Focusing center. "They want a breakthrough," Ari said, tone quiet. Eliza adjusted her scope and locked in. "Then we make the middle their grave." 3 ridgelines away, Valerie crouched in the hollow of an eroded rock face, her finger resting gently beside the trigger guard. Ahead, 1 crawler moved into the choke point, the only path wide enough to bring its full size through the crags. It didn't know it was walking into a kill box. "June, you set," Valerie whispered. "Claymores planted," came the response. "Remote charges buried, triple linked." "Lopez." EMP arrow locked in. "Just say the word." Valerie's eyes flicked to her heads-up display. The crawler's weak point, the ventilation housing, glowed red. "On my mark." Above, Eliza zeroed in. 3, 2. The first shot was like the crack of judgment itself. Her bullet punched straight into the first crawler's optics array, blinding it. Simultaneously, Valerie fired. Her round struck a relay box, disarming the forward dampeners. And then June's charges erupted. The explosion was thunder reborn. The crawler buckled, its armor peeling like fruit skin under the blast. A second detonation flipped it sideways, crushing the squad behind it in a chorus of screams and fire. The jungle swallowed the sound, but the message was clear. "We are still here. And we are not done." Commander Yirith stood aboard the mobile command barge stationed 3 kilometers back, eyes fixed on the holographic feed. His jaw clenched as another red icon blinked out. Crawler 1 down. 2 crippled, a tactician muttered. How? Yirith hissed. How can they still strike? General Saria said nothing. She watched the data feeds, not with fear, but with clarity. Because you taught them to survive, she finally said. You scorched their homes, slaughtered their cities. They learned to fight in places we never trained for. You gave them war, Commander, and they mastered it. They're women, he growled. We gave them mercy, education, structure. No. You gave them orders. What they chose was defiance. Across the jungle, chaos bloomed. Galari units scrambled to regroup, communications jammed by static bursts. The snipers had deployed signal disruptors weeks ago, primitive but effective. Each squad moved in isolation now, hearing only gunfire and their own pounding hearts. Fear curled like vines around their discipline. Mira dropped from a tree, sliding behind 2 soldiers. Her blade found the first throat before he could turn. The second turned in time to see only a shadow and feel a sudden, suffocating cold. 2 down, she whispered. Ari's voice came back. Adjust to East Ridge. Flank pressure is building. Eliza shifted her position, muscles tight with purpose. The plan wasn't to wipe them all. That was impossible. But they could collapse the spear. Cut off the head of the charge. The final shot wouldn't be random. It would be deliberate. And it would end this. The last crawler moved slower now. Its armor bore burns and shrapnel scars, its scanners twitching, half-blind. But atop it rode the Empire's final gambit, an uplink tower, wrapped in shielding, guarded by 4 snipers and 2 high-caliber plasma turrets. Destroy that tower, and the Galari lost central control. Keep it standing, and the jungle fell. Eliza moved through the treetops like a whisper, every motion silent, every step calculated. She dropped into a sniper's roost halfway between the ridgeline and the crawler's path, her heart calm, breath measured. The final position. Valerie's team had drawn attention with a false engagement further north. The Empire had swallowed the bait. All eyes were there. No one saw Eliza settle into the shadows. She slid her rifle forward and locked it in place. The wind shifted, gentle, steady. She adjusted half a click. The crawler lumbered into view. It stopped at the edge of a ridge to deploy the tower. Twin stabilizers extended with a hiss. Panels lifted. A dome uncoiled upward, glowing with network pulses. This was it. Her scope swept across the bodyguards, each armored, each scanning. She counted breaths. Tracked the lead sniper's pacing. Waited. The tower's core revealed itself, a spinning blue disk, exposed during calibration. A 3-second window. One chance. A whisper over comms. Target in place. Valerie. All clear. Mira. We got you covered. Ari. Take it. Eliza exhaled. The world narrowed into a tunnel, her heartbeat syncing with the pulse of the crosshairs. One shot. The silence before it was sacred. And the trigger broke. The round flew. Time broke apart. The bullet struck the tower's core. Not an explosion. A silence. Then a pulse of blue energy reversed on itself. The uplink buckled inward before igniting in a flash of white-hot fire, sending the guards sprawling, their equipment erupting in sparks. The crawler spasmed. Its control systems fried. The entire command network collapsed in a blink. And with it, the Empire's line fractured. Galari soldiers, now deaf and blind, panicked. Squads turned into mobs. Orders failed to reach units. Retreats became routes. They fired wildly into the trees, hitting nothing but illusions and shadows. Valerie and her team surged forward. A final coordinated strike, not to kill, but to break. Guns barked. Explosions rang. One last storm of resistance, and then the jungle went still. The machines fell silent. The invasion had failed. Eliza sat at the base of a tree, hands loose around her rifle, the smoke curling above her. The fight had drained from her body, but her eyes remained alert. She wasn't celebrating. Not yet. Valerie emerged through the haze, helmet tucked under one arm, her face streaked with ash and sweat. Uplinks done. The last crawlers dead in the ravine. Losses. 2 injuries. No deaths. She paused. Not ours. Mira dropped beside them, offering a flask of water. They're running. Not regrouping. Running. Back toward their landing ships. Eliza nodded once. Good. Ari slid into view a moment later. So, it's over? Eliza looked out across the shattered forest. Craters smoldered where trees once stood. Blood stained the roots. Shattered drones and weapons littered the underbrush. She exhaled. No, she said. But today we won. Silence fell among the 4 women. It wasn't triumph. It was something heavier. Earned. In orbit, the Galari mothership received the final telemetry burst. Commander Yirith watched as his battlefield command grid went dark. No signals. No life signs. Only corrupted data and jagged static. He turned to his second-in-command. Prepare withdrawal. And mark this system. The officer hesitated. For return. Yirith's gaze was hollow. For avoidance. Saria stood beside him, saying nothing. Because deep down, she already knew. This war would become a warning. A legend. Weeks later, amid the ruins of a forward outpost, Earth Command landed its first recon team. What they found wasn't soldiers, but hunters. Valerie stood among them, arms crossed, eyes guarded. Mira leaned against a broken Galari turret, eyes scanning the sky. Ari adjusted her gear, ever sharp. And Eliza, standing at the edge of the clearing, said nothing as the commanders approached. One asked, "How did you hold out?" Eliza turned to him, expression unreadable. "We didn't hold out," she said. "We held back." The commander nodded slowly. "And the final shot?" Her voice was soft. "That one was never for them." He frowned. "Then who?" She looked to the horizon. "For the next ones who think Earth is easy prey." No more needed to be said. They'd come in ships and steel. But Earth sent women with rifles and patience. And when shadows strike back, they don't miss.